Well, guys, here we are. One of the most hyped movies, if not the most hyped film of 2021. And it's a science fiction epic from Denis Villeneuve. And you notice that all these different characters within this world have all these super unique names. But then you meet our main character, and his name is Paul. And nothing against the name Paul, of course. But at that point, I was like, one of these things is surely not like the others. Guys, my name is Zack, and I love discussing cinema and all things entertainment, and I really do appreciate you guys clicking on the thumbnail today. I really hope you enjoy your stay, because as I've alluded to, here we are, a movie that I did not think I'd ever be talking about here on this channel, Dune. Finally hitting theaters this weekend. God, it's so nuts to think that you can actually go and see this thing after all these delays and what have you. It's directed by the one and only Denis Villeneuve, who also brought you classics like Prisoners, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, and it stars the likes of Timothee Chalamet, Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, just to name a few. And our hero in this story is Paul Atreides, played by Timothee Chalamet. He's a brilliant and gifted young man born into a great destiny beyond his understanding, and Paul must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people. But as malevolence forces explode into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource in existence, only those who can conquer their own fear will survive. Man, it's still so crazy to me how quickly time flies. It feels like only yesterday when the film Twitter community was up in arms about Warner Brothers' big announcement that it was gonna be hitting HBO Max and theaters simultaneously the same day. So safe to say that the hype behind Dune was insane. So I went into this thing, didn't necessarily have the highest expectations as someone who didn't read the source material, and I am so happy to report that the hype for Dune was absolutely warranted, because it just may be one of 2021's best films, if not the best film of 2021. Like, I'm legitimately amazed at how incredible this was. I am still certain that Dune is not a movie that you can experience on the small screen, even though in hindsight it is pretty nice to have that option. But I'm telling you guys, you've got to go to your closest theater possible to watch this thing, preferably if it's an IMAX screen, because Denis Villeneuve may have just started the brand new science fiction extravaganza similar to a Lord of the Rings. And do I even really need to give details on just how perfect the direction is in this thing? This shot composition is pristine. There are certain moments in Dune where I'm dumbfounded by these shots as to how in the hell do they do this? Just everything, guys. The production design, the costumes, the scope. Oh my gosh, the scope. This is a gigantic looking film. Every little technical and production elements that went into Dune really made this feel like the grandest occasion possible. The world building in this movie also so damn fascinating. It did remind me a lot of Game of Thrones with the different feuding households, but you have that sprinkle of Star Wars style settings. These sand dunes really do bring you back to the coolest looking scenes of The Force Awakens and the planet Jakku. I could not take my eyes off the screen at any given moment during Dune. I absolutely loved it. My eyes were super glued, laser focused into this thing. The performances in this movie, across the board, rock solid. Timothee Chalamet plays our Luke Skywalker style character in this film. He is certainly Oscar worthy here. Do I think he's gonna get one? Not necessarily, but it wouldn't surprise me. You were definitely rooting for him. You were sympathizing with his situation as someone who was basically born and destined into the leadership role of his house to bring honor. And this leadership position isn't necessarily one he wants, but he's kind of forced into it. It's so great. Lots of really fascinating character work for him to sink his teeth into, and Chalamet was certainly up for the task. And Amanda, I hope if you're watching this that Chalamet made you proud. He is a freaking superstar. Now how about Oscar Isaac as Paul's father? Wow, what a gripping performance. I can argue that this could have been the best performance he's ever given, and he's done a lot of great stuff in the past. No spoilers, of course, but there is one line of dialogue that Oscar Isaac has that I just couldn't help but smile, just judging from his past roles that he's had. And speaking of, my personal favorite character in this movie Duncan, Idaho, played by Jason Momoa. Oh man, what a badass. Momoa really does bring a lot of charm and comedy to this movie that was very much needed. He does have loads of great comedic one-liners, as well as some really moving best friend moments with Chalamet himself. Now, it's those two connections that Paul has with his best friend Duncan, as well as with his father, that I ultimately think is what drives this film. But let's face it, guys, Villeneuve really has assembled an all-star cast if I ever saw one. And that's not just in regards to these three. You also have Zendaya in this film. Not for very long, surprisingly. But she is a total badass in her own right. I loved her character. We also have Dave Bautista as this Uncle Fester-looking villain who was really intimidating. He's almost like our Kylo Ren of the proceedings. Except, you know, bringing his pro-wrestler-like intensity to the proceedings. Josh Brolin pops in for a cup of coffee for a couple of super badass scenes. He was really great. Javier Bardem was super good. Stellan Skarsgard, across the board. Rebecca Ferguson, oh my gosh, how good was she in this film? It would especially not surprise me if Ferguson was nominated for Best Supporting Actress at this year's Oscars. Like, there are loads of Oscars that this thing could win, and honestly, Dune could sweep, similar to how Return of the King did back in 2004. Because thinking about it, guys, I really can't find a single thing wrong with this movie. The hype is real 100%. Now, if I could add anything different about this film that hasn't already been said, it's regarding the ending. And don't worry, guys, there's no spoilers in this video. That's not what I'm about. But I've noticed a few people saying that this movie kind of feels incomplete, and it's really kind of delving into the purpose of a cliffhanger. I think this movie executes what a cliffhanger is supposed to do perfectly, because the story of this movie really does not feel incomplete, and it really does make me want to see more. And it's certainly looking like they're making more. Denis Villeneuve is going to be a busy bee for a while. If and when there are more Dune movies, I'm there. Absolutely there day one. Because this movie was so good at the world building and introducing us to these characters, it made me want to see more of them. And there's a vast universe to explore out there, man. Dune is without a doubt one of the best movies of 2021. I cannot recommend it to you guys enough. But yeah, let's face it, y'all were gonna go see this thing anyway. I'm gonna give Dune its well-earned A+. This is a must-watch on the biggest screen possible as soon as humanly possible. Dune is truly a visual feast, a never-ending buffet for the eyes, and it will surely captivate you from start to finish, always leaving you wanting to explore it even more, which is all certainly what it's looking like. This is of course all just my personal opinion. What do you guys think of Dune? Were you as hyped to see it as most other people on film Twitter were? Feel free to sound off with all of your thoughts down in the comments section below, and also feel free to let me know what your favorite Denis Villeneuve film is up to this point. Because as you guys know, I love discussing all things cinema and entertainment with you guys, and if these topics sound appealing to you, then if I were you, I would consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. This channel is on the road to 1,000 subscribers and counting. I would love it if you guys could help that along. Subscribing is also really beneficial in helping get this content out there to more people. It's also totally free to you guys. As is smashing that thumbs up button on your way out. That would also be much, much appreciated. And as always, guys, look out for more exciting content hitting this channel very, very soon. I'm gonna keep chugging along in my Halloween playlist. Next up is An American Werewolf in London. Certainly lots of exciting stuff to look forward to. I'll also be posting a review for The Last Night in Soho once I see that. Edgar Wright, please do not let me down. I don't think he will, but regardless, guys, can't wait to discuss all these topics with you guys down the line. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.